Hey, Cowboys Nation. Welcome to your ultimate destination for all things Dallas Cowboys. From the latest news, game analyses, rumors, to deep dives into player performances and strategies, we've got you covered. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a play. Let's dive into everything you need to know about America's team. Rumors are starting to swirl in the NFL community after a bold and very direct comment reportedly made by Baker Mayfield. The quarterback, who has always carried a reputation for being outspoken and brutally honest, allegedly told people close to him that he would never, under any circumstances, play for the Dallas Cowboys. Now, this is not the kind of statement that stays quiet for too long, especially when it involves a name like Mayfield and an organization as polarizing as the Cowboys. The idea of a quarterback flat-out rejecting one of the league's most iconic franchises is already enough to spark conversations across sports shows, fan podcasts, and YouTube channels. And when that quarterback is someone like Mayfield, who has built his career on swagger, confidence, and an ability to stir reactions, you know that the rumor was destined to gain traction almost instantly after it surfaced. For years, the Dallas Cowboys have been described as the team that every player dreams of joining, the so-called America's team, with its unmatched media exposure, lucrative opportunities, and a fan base that stretches across the country and beyond. But with that glamour also comes constant pressure, overwhelming expectations, and relentless scrutiny from every angle of the sports media. According to insiders whispering about Mayfield's stance, he simply has no interest in tying himself to that circus. The quarterback, who has already experienced the roller coaster highs and lows of NFL stardom, is said to believe that joining the Cowboys would mean sacrificing personal peace for a constant spotlight. People close to him suggest that Mayfield values the chance to build a legacy where he can play freely, without every single snap being dissected as though it defines his career. For him, rejecting the Cowboys isn't about disrespect, it's about survival. What makes this story even juicier is the timing. The Cowboys have long been linked to quarterbacks whenever a hint of instability arises, and Mayfield's name has floated around more than once in speculation. Whenever the Cowboys face criticism of Dak Prescott's performances, fans and analysts start tossing around possible replacements. Mayfield, with his fiery style and willingness to compete, has always seemed like a candidate who could fit the team's culture of confidence and boldness. However, with this rumor spreading, it throws a major twist into the narrative. If Mayfield truly has zero interest in donning the star on his helmet, then fans and analysts will have to strike his name off every hypothetical trade scenario that involves Dallas. It's a strong statement, one that shuts down speculation before it even begins, and it shows just how determined Mayfield is to take control of his career's direction and his reputation. Some insiders claim that Mayfield's dislike of the Cowboys isn't new at all. It goes way back. Growing up in Texas, he was surrounded by the constant noise of Cowboys fandom, and according to some reports, he never bought into the hype. Friends from his early playing days allegedly recall him rolling his eyes whenever conversations turned toward Dallas, claiming that he respected their history, but wasn't interested in being part of that machine. That perspective apparently carried into his NFL career, where he's seen how unforgiving the Dallas spotlight can be for players who don't deliver instant success. Combine that with his own rocky path through Cleveland and then Tampa Bay, and it makes sense why Mayfield would want nothing to do with an organization that lives under the microscope. It's not necessarily hatred. It's more like a firm personal boundary against a situation he believes wouldn't suit him. The fan reactions to this rumor have been mixed and intense, as expected. On one hand, you have Cowboys supporters who take Mayfield's stance as an insult, arguing that any player should be honored to even be linked with the team. For them, the idea that a quarterback would actively avoid Dallas feels like arrogance, especially considering Mayfield's uneven track record in the league. On the other hand, there are plenty of fans who actually applaud his honesty, saying that it's refreshing to see a player openly admit that not every situation is a good fit. They argue that too many athletes chase the bright lights without considering the personal toll, and Mayfield's alleged refusal to join Dallas proves he's prioritizing more than just money or fame. That division of opinion has only fueled the conversations, making the rumors spread faster across fan bases and media platforms alike. Sports commentators, meanwhile, are trying to break down the deeper meaning behind Mayfield's rumor declaration. Some see it as a sign of maturity, noting that he's learned from his early years that not all opportunities are worth the hype. Others see it as another example of his stubbornness, suggesting that Mayfield has always had a chip on his shoulder and sometimes lets pride dictate his decisions. Whatever the case, the notion that he would close the door on one of the league's most high-profile franchises is not something that goes unnoticed. Analysts are already debating whether such a strong stance could limit his options in the future, or if it actually enhances his image as a player determined to write his own story. Either way, Mayfield has once again found himself at the center of a rumor storm, exactly where the sports world seems to expect him to be. If this rumor about Baker Mayfield refusing to ever play for the Dallas Cowboys holds any truth, then it reshapes how people see him as both a quarterback and as a personality within the NFL. The Cowboys are usually positioned as the ultimate dream franchise, a destination players rarely reject openly, even if only out of respect for the organization's influence. By drawing a line in the sand, Mayfield challenges that narrative, making it clear that America's team isn't automatically everyone's team. That level of honesty could alienate some fans, but also earn admiration from those who value individuality over tradition. The larger question that emerges is whether Mayfield is simply trying to control his own story, avoiding speculation about future connections with Dallas, or if his words reflect a deeper frustration with how the Cowboys dominate the football conversation, overshadowing other franchises in the process. Another intriguing angle is how the Cowboys themselves might respond if the rumor keeps echoing. While the front office rarely engages in public back and forths with players, Jerry Jones has never been shy about addressing stories that gain traction in the media. A rejection of the Cowboys brand, even through rumor, is something that cuts deep, given how much the organization prides itself on its image as a premier destination. If Mayfield's alleged comments reach their ears, it will be fascinating to see whether they choose to ignore them or subtly fire back with a reminder of their prestige. In Dallas, nothing happens quietly, and even the suggestion that a quarterback would refuse to wear their star could ignite debates not just about Mayfield, but also about how the Cowboys are perceived by today's generation of athletes who may see the pressure as more of a burden than a privilege. The idea that Dallas can't always get whoever it wants is a reminder of how different the NFL landscape has become. Players today hold more power, more freedom, and more confidence to shape their own careers than ever before. In the past, the Cowboys' reputation and financial clout would be enough to attract nearly any star. But now, with social media, player branding, and the constant presence of cameras, joining Dallas feels like stepping into a world where every move becomes headline material. For someone like Mayfield, who has already battled criticism, moved teams, and rebuilt his image, that pressure could feel unbearable. So instead of chasing the Cowboys spotlight, he may prefer to carve his own path elsewhere, showing that individuality and self-preservation matter just as much as tradition and money. If true, his rejection isn't only about Dallas. It's a sign of a new era in professional football decision-making. Media personalities have already begun speculating on how this affects Mayfield's long-term reputation. Some argue that the quarterback's rumored stance could make him seem ungrateful or arrogant, especially since he hasn't exactly been among the league's elite performers. Others, however, insist that honesty is a rare quality in sports and should be valued rather than criticized. For every fan or commentator mocking Mayfield for supposedly thinking he's too good for Dallas, there are others applauding him for having the courage to admit that he doesn't want that specific spotlight. In an era where athletes are expected to chase the biggest brands and largest stages, going against the flow makes Mayfield's story stand out. Whether people love it or hate it, the truth is that this rumor fuels endless debate, which is exactly what keeps players like Mayfield firmly in the media's eye, regardless of his on-field performance week to week. It's also important to remember that rumors like these often snowball far beyond their original intent. Maybe Mayfield was joking in private, or maybe his words were exaggerated by someone who heard them secondhand. The NFL rumor mill thrives on half-truths, overheard conversations, and bits of information that may never be confirmed. But sometimes, perception becomes reality, and if fans and media believe Mayfield truly said he would never play for Dallas, that perception sticks to him whether he likes it or not. In many ways, this is the double-edged sword of being outspoken. His voice carries weight, but it also means even casual remarks can explode into controversies. For Mayfield, that may not be new territory, but it does mean he has to live with how people interpret his words, even if he never meant for them to become such a widespread talking point in the first place. But before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Dallas Cowboys. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. At the end of the day, whether Baker Mayfield truly said he would never play for the Cowboys or not, the rumor has done its job. It has everyone talking. Fans are debating his honesty, media outlets are dissecting the potential implications, and Dallas once again finds itself in the center of a storyline that reaches far beyond the field. It highlights the unique power of the Cowboys brand, where even rejection becomes headline news. And it highlights Mayfield's place in the league as a player who, love him or hate him, always finds a way to stay relevant. Perhaps the real story here isn't about whether he'll ever wear a star on his helmet, but about how one sentence can ripple across the entire NFL landscape. That's the mark of a quarterback who knows how to keep himself in the conversation, even when he's not throwing a single pass. The ripple effect of this rumor doesn't stop at Baker Mayfield or the Cowboys. It spills into how other quarterbacks view their own situations. If one player can openly reject Dallas, what does that say about the evolving priorities across the league? More and more, athletes are focusing not just on money and market size, but also on culture, fit, and how much scrutiny they're willing to endure. Mayfield's alleged stance might inspire others to consider whether chasing the biggest stage is worth the constant stress. The Cowboys will always be a magnet for attention, but if some players see that attention as a trap, the organization could struggle in the long run to attract the kinds of personalities it has always relied on. That's not to say Dallas will ever lose its shine, but the shine may not blind everyone the way it once did decades ago. What also makes this rumor so captivating is the way it touches on Mayfield's character arc. When he entered the league, many saw him as a brash, overconfident kid who loved the spotlight, sometimes to his own detriment. To hear that same player is now allegedly refusing one of the brightest stages in sports suggests growth, or at least a change in priorities. Maybe he has learned that fame without peace isn't worth it, or maybe he just doesn't want to tie his legacy to a franchise that already has an overwhelming narrative of its own. Either way, the idea that Mayfield would rather stay far away from the Cowboys' orbit than be consumed by it is fascinating. It's the kind of rumor that makes fans re-examine who he is today versus who he was when he first took the NFL by storm with his trademark swagger. And then there's the bigger picture, how fans consume and amplify these kinds of whispers. In the age of social media, rumors become headlines within hours, and once they gain momentum, they take on lives of their own. Whether Mayfield truly meant it or not, this story has already influenced how people talk about him and about the Cowboys. It fuels debates on radio shows, inspires hot takes on YouTube, and sparks heated arguments on Twitter threads. That's the nature of the modern NFL. It's not just about games on Sunday, but about the constant drama that surrounds players every single day. And Baker Mayfield, intentionally or not, has become a central character in that never-ending saga. If nothing else, this rumor proves that his voice, his personality, and his decisions still command attention in ways few other players in the league can match. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Dallas Cowboys, please subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. We always look forward to your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.